Hello? Is
Hi?
this thing on?
Always.
Striking late.
Oh my God.
Ayo.
What? Oh.
Hello, everybody. How we
If
doing
you
tonight?
if, if you had a thumb or another
Mhm.
finger and you clicked a button to say play, sit back, relax, the game is on, and that game is Age of Sigmar.
Or if you have subscribed and this came
Mhm.
on your autoplay,
Yeah.
then that thumb can be used for a thumbs up.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
Ayo.
Yep.
absolutely should be. If that thumb is attached to a credit card, it can
Mhm.
also be used to a Patreon subscription, potentially even a merch store usage. I
Yeah.
know that no life is truly complete without matching booty shorts and jerseys with chic check patterns.
Oh
And
my
Very,
God.
very
Yeah.
true.
and we sell those, I think.
We
I believe we
do.
do. We
And
do.
Jack's endorsed them for their tournament skills.
Exactly. Secrets out.
Ah.
So how we all doing? How we all doing on this fine night?
Oh, fellas.
Oh man. We're
I'm
in
a
a pretty
little
good mood.
tired, but we're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're partying late. We're liking.
Hmm.
We're subscribing. We're commenting. We're talking Warhammer.
We're
So
doing
far, so good.
we're doing all the
Yeah.
things. We've surfaced from the real life to our time to have
Yep,
some game chat, some Warhammer chat, which is always fun. Rocco, I know you're in the middle of a play.
I am.
Um,
I'm tired as
I'm
hell. But
same.
you know what I did, Jack? I'm so tired. But then I drank a ghost.
Ah, good. Yeah, Ghost, if you're listening to this, you should,
Ghost energy drink.
yeah, we should talk.
Spooky good.
Spooky
Yeah.
good.
Mm,
Oh, yeah, I can't
yeah.
claim much more than work and watching a baby.
I mean, that's
Baby
very
is
important.
intensive.
But the second part, very important.
Oh yeah, she's a
I
delight.
Oh,
I am so happy. I'm so happy for you. To
yeah.
be 100% honest. Jack's got his
Oh,
baby monitor on and he's
Oh my
he's doing
God.
all of this. So let
Yeah.
a
Ah,
round of applause for Jack for double tasking the hardest.
yep. Oh
thank you,
yeah.
Golf
thank
clap,
you.
golf clap.
Let
Yep.
us all cross our fingers and hope for no interruptions in the
I
episode for the slumbering one.
I
Mhm.
believe. I believe.
Yep.
But I kind of wanted to kind of want we haven't done, like a little check-in in a little while, right?
Check in.
Yeah.
Seeing how everybody's doing, what we're working on,
Yeah.
what we see in the hobby future and hobby current.
Oh
Done a little
shit.
bit of a
Yeah.
deep dive into the psychology of being a gamer, I suppose, if that makes any
Psychology is
sense.
it? Oh, I'll break
Man,
out my college degree. Okay.
no time
Yeah.
like the present for that. I love that, Matt. So, why do you kick it
Yeah.
off, man? What have you been working on recently? Where's your hobby headspace right now? What's going on with that?
And I have been I've been doing the grand plans and
Okay.
me of too many projects as always.
Yes. Yes.
Um have finally circled back to my neon skellies of
Mm.
my Soulblight Gravelords. And
Oh,
Okay.
cool, cool.
Okay.
so I've been going back and getting through, some list building on stuff that I kind of want to do, and then realizing there's stuff that I have that I still haven't built, which is like an
Mm.
amazing amount of skeletons because I already have 120 skeletons. I don't need to build 80 more.
All right, 80
But they're the
best
old
decor.
skelly, so then
You need more. I mean, not for skellies, but as a man with 200 zombies, I can appreciate like the comfort that they give
it's
you, this the
it,
girth.
it's really like Legos have nothing on stepping on 200 zombies. Like if I'm ever in a home alone situation,
Uh-huh.
or if my
Uh-huh.
wife
Uh-huh.
is ever in a home alone situation, I
There
expect
you
her
go.
to throw the zombies down the stairs,
Yep.
and the skellies,
Mm-hmm.
place
Mm-hmm.
them spear tip up,
Yep.
Hmm.
so that
Yep.
they break off within, the
The intruder's foot.
yeah,
Yep.
yep, within
It
Joe
honestly,
Pesci's foot or face.
that would
Yeah.
He's
be kind of a valuable skeleton if you could just get that blacked or something afterwards. Like this is the
yeah.
spear tip that is Hollywood actor blood smeared all
Yep.
plus.
The spear tip that broke Joe Pesci.
I
Um,
love
Love to
that.
see it.
so
Ah.
yeah,
The
so I've been working on them, and that it's kind of a thing that I've had for a while. I have all these armies,
Mhm.
and one of the things I really love doing is creating kind of a theme around them.
Okay.
My Stormcast for the longest time had a backstory
Ooh.
of them running in between realms, stuck in between death and darkness.
What is this, narrative gaming?
Yeah, right. What? And so all the models are kind of like grimdarky, painted around that
Okay.
idea, right? Well,
Nice.
in branching out, I realized that I could just not do all dark basing. And so I decided to embark on the real display project, which is
Okay.
to have 4 displays and each of them being in a different type of realm, and then choosing the
Ah,
armies that I want to put in those different types of realms and
okay.
basing them
Oh,
accordingly.
that's real cool. That's real cool.
So,
Ah,
so for this one with the Soul Blight, they are on desert bases.
okay.
And anybody
Okay.
on Blue Sky that's been following it, you've seen a bunch of work in progress stuff, which it's well known. All I will ever do is post work in progress. I don't think I've ever
Okay.
posted a single finished model in our entirety of our time in
Not since
Discord.
I've known you.
You're a process man, Matt. You like the journey. The
Yeah.
destination is not just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the I'm the dog that caught the car, right? Um
What do I do now? I don't
yeah.
know.
So that's been a fun journey. It's been really
Okay.
exciting too because I'm finally getting into because I have a bunch of the old um the old vampires on horses,
Mm, the Blood
the
Knights.
dragons, yeah, blood
Yeah,
knights,
yeah.
Yeah, the Blood
blood
Dragons way back
dragons,
in the day.
yep, which are beautifully painted up, but
Mhm.
do stand out like a sore thumb and are
Yeah.
collectively one of the heaviest pieces of metal that I think I own.
Hey man, you put
Um,
like 5 of those in a sock, you'll knock someone out. All right.
oh yeah, you are sending them to the hospital,
Oh,
and
no doubt about that. Maybe too farther if you get all the spirited stuff in.
yeah, seriously, they
Like
might
Joe
not make it
Pesci.
there. But I've been enjoying the new models and finding themes in there. And still like working with the neon, but making it a little bit more subtle, a little bit more tasteful. Essentially taking the core
Okay.
idea that I used to run with, excuse me,
Yeah.
and then expanding on it in a way that made sense in the context of the display board.
Hmm.
And that kind of has allowed me to, pick the colors and tones of the model that I really want to
Uh,
accentuate. And it really has provided more than like oops all neon, right, which has been a
yeah.
fun, it was fun while it lasted, but that works much better for my night haunt army.
Hmm.
Mhm.
um
That's reasonable.
so yeah, I've been kind of like working through all of it right now, and I've got a couple of lists that are, I'm sure some people are going to be like, oh, these suck, but I'm going to have a null deploy army or a null charge
Uh,
army out of Soulblight Grave Lords.
what are we calling a null charge army there, Matt? Walk me through that real quick.
So 3 dragons,
Flying
the
high in the sky, I'm guessing. Okay, cool,
yep,
cool.
Vangorian lords, obviously to
Uh-huh.
keep everybody in, and then just a bunch of the winged vamps. I can never remember their
Okay.
name.
The Vargeists.
Vargeist, yep,
Yeah.
Vargeist, and then whatever I need to spare. I think a couple of nope, 2 units of either 10 or 20. No, 2 units of 10 wolves, cap objectives and
Okay.
stuff.
That's a
Okay.
fair one. That's a fair one. Well, let me
Yeah.
jump in next with the current journey. So I've been
Dive right in.
real real limited in hobby time recently for or other reasons I may have already mentioned, but I have been trying to
What?
consistently work through just oh, you know it, Rocco. She's a demanding little thing, but I've been trying to work through one specific project, and I have been making like a
Okay.
satisfying amount of headway on it. So a while ago, I got really excited about the Regiment of Renown. They came out with the Escapement book. Like the
Oh, sure. All the shooting.
all the shooting, all the Warbolt Scourgers and the Galvanier and the big
Mm-hmm.
like kind of
Yeah.
swivel chair like Gatling gun. I think it looks really cool, and I was
Yeah.
really missing having that dimensionality of a shooting phase in some of the Chaos armies I like to play, and so I'm like, all
Very
right,
much.
I can introduce this to my Slaves to Darkness list, make some lists around this, and there's on the play here. Still do,
Okay.
work like a dream the one time I got a chance to field it thus far. But, I bought the remaining models, having gotten one of them in the Scaventide box set, and, I've been slowly
Okay.
painting away. but I've kind of been a little bit of a madman with it, where like this is really the only thing
How
on my painting
so?
desk right now. But I'm doing it all at once, right? It's like all three pieces, all three units. And I'm not like just finishing one. I'm doing them all. And at this point, they're like 85% done. Like I'll probably in the next couple weeks, maybe even be able to post it up into the finished chat if I'm lucky. But I'm going
Ooh.
for
Okay.
a very different kind of color scheme. My older daughter's really into Frozen, so I
Uh-huh.
told her that they're the rats of Vermindel, and they're her people because she's the zodiac
Yeah.
rat from the Chinese
Love it.
astrology. So
Love to see it.
they're all in the colors from the movie, like they're from Arendelle, and it's working
Hell
really
yeah.
well. Even made like my own kind of little warp stone variation where I kind of do like a blue into green thing,
Oh,
and
that's
it
Hmm.
adorable.
yeah, it's pretty fun. I'll show you guys of it, everyone on the Patreon if you want to see it when they're done. But I'm just trying to get this one thing cleared off, and it's sort of also my, I guess, try to figure out what I'm doing with my painting impetus kind of moment because I'm in a really weird spot right now. With the last episode we had, guys, right? We're talking about the Slaves to Darkness book, so that's coming out on Saturday. I read through it, have some fun list ideas. Definitely
Hmm.
gonna mess around with the regiment and do some stuff. But I'm also thinking, okay, if I need like a palate cleanser break, what army do I turn to? And I just can't figure it out. Because the other armies I have to play, I'm like, nothing's grabbed me thus far. Like there's like painted ones, of course, but I could go back to my Flesh Eater Courts project. And they're just not in the best spot right now, as Mason was telling us in the other episode. And
Hmm.
also they're also a oops all combat army, which I'm also doing right now. And I
Which is
also have the
fun, but limiting, right?
exactly. And then I have my 200 zombies, zombie themed army, like kind of your zone, Matt, with a soul blight, but I don't really want to break out the airbrush and get deep into that right now. And then I have all these Skaven in a box going with the Vermidel stuff, but I'm a little hesitant to dive into that more than just a regiment right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of interesting with because that's Volt Claws, right?
Yeah, we'll cause what they're called warp scourges or something.
Yeah, it's like a nice bolt-on for pretty much anything that you kind of want to do, right?
Oh yeah,
And
it's such a
I
cool module.
yeah, I find it to be interesting in like the idea that um that it's at least like something that you can plug in that you already are familiar with, you know all the rules already. It's kind of like, yep, here it's not even a crutch, but it's like a great learning tool for the rest of the army, right? Like you don't have to waste the mental faculties on, that particular area of models when you
Yep,
place it
yep.
up, like where they're going to be,
Hmm.
I'm
and then the rest of the list.
alive.
We lost Rocco there for the
And he is
listeners.
back.
That
Welcome
was
back,
horrible.
Rocco.
You don't even
That's
want to
right.
know what I saw. There was Skaven, they're real. There was Warpstone. It was bluish green. I don't know
You fell down
why.
a knot hole while we were talking about them. I well, while you disappeared into the vermin doom, Rocco, Matt was
Shit.
talking about how there is something kind of cool to the idea that you can have the bite-sized, was it Matt Skaven craziness, like learning package and just like a three interacting things rather than just
Hmm.
not know which way is up, which way is down. There's bells over here doing stuff and vermin
Okay.
lords and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and even
I think
just
it's fun.
That
bolting
sounds
it
pleasant.
into a list where you're just trying to get used to the new rules and new models, I think
Oh,
it's something
sure.
that's already dependable for you
Hmm.
too.
Yeah. I
And
think there's just something so satisfying about that particular one too, because it has a real role. It has like a theme to it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like, I mean, the Slaves of Darkness is so fun to kind of rank up your knightly 10 men if you want to play the Chaos Warriors. But sometimes it feels like when you're doing the sit on circles game with that, it's a little bit like, oh yeah, you better come over here. Oh, just wait till you do. Please come
Yep.
over here. And I can
Please,
give them a
Stop
reason.
shooting me from over there, Order Armies.
I can't make it over there. Please come here.
Mhm. So there'll be some fun, I think, to be had. How about
Okay.
you, Rocco? What's your jam right now?
Well, right after running away from the rats, I do have, let's, for our viewers on YouTube. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's the blur. Oh,
Oh,
blur
it's
it, blur it,
blurred
blur it
out,
back.
blurred out.
Oh, are
Aha.
you going 3 cannon list?
Is that
I'm
like
going
a?
at least two. At least two. We got, but maybe three. Maybe three.
Oh, are
We're
you
going
doing
at least
cities?
two. Yeah,
You doing
cities.
cities?
I am
Back to
doing
your
my cities.
roots. Back to
I
your
am
roots,
going, yes, back to them. Because unfortunately, with the whole allies being dropped thing for the regiments and stuff, I got a Belthanos sized hole in my list, which
Well,
very lovingly can be filled with artillery. You know, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
I think the cannons have merit with multiples. And
Yeah.
especially paired up with the guy in the ogre, the
Oh yeah.
ogre warhulk. Is that
Yep.
what it
Yep.
is?
Yep.
Fusel
Yeah, the Fuso
Major.
Major.
Yeah.
Fusel Major.
Yeah.
That's actually that combo and a unit of Fusiliers have been in almost every list that I've written.
Yep.
Like,
He's
there's just
good.
something very, very cool about the idea of owning midfield.
Yeah. Again, I'm not walking to you. You got to walk through a wall of lead to me.
That's right. And
You
and
know.
That's
I'm
fair.
moving 3 inches. We're not walking. We are
Oh,
snailing our way
I'm
to you.
waddling really slowly
Yeah.
to make sure I keep my long range. There's
I
like
Creaking
dig
the
that.
wheels.
waddle the shield.
And not to be overstated. I mean, a model's so beautiful, your camera blurred it out, but like
Yeah.
the cannon kit's just so awesome.
It's
Like
so cool.
Oh, it
I
is a
see it
It's
every
so
time.
pain
Like,
to
cool.
put together.
yeah.
It is
It
a pain to
is.
put together.
I
You
built
assembled
one.
one? Oh, okay.
I've built one already and I loved it. And I hated it and I loved it because it's just the model has so much character to it, and all
Yeah.
the gunnery crew, the dude drinking the bottle, and the pulling a jack here, double fisted his beer.
Hmm.
You
It
love to see
just
it.
I don't even know if that made the video for that, but yeah, for those listening at home, Jack is being actually responsible. I'm just giving him shit, but but it's a very cool kit. I love before I feel like in the end of third there was it fought for space with a big group of Fusiliers, and even when the Fusiliers got nerfed, then you're like, cool, I'm just gonna throw in a bunch of cav and a bunch of things. But I like being able to say, hey, do you see that schmuck group of orcs over there? Yes, Fusil Major, sir. I don't want to see him no more. All right, listen.
Exactly.
The Imperial Guard wishes they could. All right, my regular Fusils even one of the last events I got to with them was actually out in Michigan. Um, it
Michiganders.
did. No, it was the Bruce Sky event. I haven't played these guys since the spring. It's been a while
That
in
one
my
sounded so
rotation.
fun. Oh my God.
It was a great time in a brewery, and I did a bayonet charge to seal a win, which is very silly. But it worked out. Desperate times called for desperate measures, and they nutted up, and then they made the other side shut
The
up.
strength of men did not fail that day, it sounds like.
I
No,
like to
No,
sir.
think that it was, slightly snowy in Michigan still, and they used their
it was very
shields
warm.
as toboggans.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's even better. That's
All
better.
right.
You,
Ah,
you, you made me think of a thing. It's
what?
kind of a tangent, but I think you'll
Okay,
appreciate this, Rocco. In terms of like
please.
awesome
Uh-huh.
artillery gun line lists, I know you're going
Uh-huh.
3 cannon, and that
I
will be
am.
better.
Mm.
But what's going to get the laws, and we have to do as a meme list sometime,
Yeah.
is this Ogre Ma Tribes list I cooked up a while ago,
Ooh, what do we
which
got?
relies heavily on a crap
Oh.
ton of scrap launchers
Oh,
I
scrap
love them
because
ton.
so much. I love them in
they're
fantasy.
so
They're so
good.
nice. They
They're so
are.
crazy.
They're just
24
goofy.
inches. I mean,
Yep.
soapbox for a minute. Just no one thinks they're good, I've
Please.
heard, but I think they're great
We'll call it a
Go
because
scrap
on.
ton.
it's
It's
a
a
scrap
scrap
ton.
ton. Yeah.
Like the
Crap ton
sheer
of fun.
volume is a little random but insane because as long as you just park them near any Nobbler unit, which of course are the perfect screen and cheapest
Hmm.
chips,
Yep.
Hmm.
they get
And the
3d6
cutest models ever
shots.
made, by
So
the way.
cute
Yep.
and so easy to
Yep.
paint because they're like two bits of plastic
Yeah,
stuck
it's
to
a
a base.
nose and the hood they're wearing, and that's
It's
it.
like
There you
basically a
go.
nose and nothing else. Yeah, it's like very,
Yeah.
very good.
Love it.
Love it. So, but get this, you just reminder of the listeners out there.
Yep.
This profile, 24
Okay.
inches,
Yep.
3d6 shots.
Yep.
normally 4 up with no rend and 1 damage, but they're anti-infantry 1 rend, and they
Love
auto
that.
wound with a crit. And if you're near
Yeah.
Noblars, they auto wound and crit on a 5 up.
That's
So
pretty
like,
good.
just
Yeah.
they're not expensive.
No,
So
That's
not
just
at all.
that's actually, can they, and they don't have any they don't have any like negatives to moving and shooting.
no, they don't. They
No.
move 9 inches
That's
because
Yeah.
they're on a
potentially
wagon.
that's potentially
Yeah.
better than a unit of Bloodstalkers, to
Yeah.
be
Yes.
100% honest, because
Nine
they
health,
have to
control
sit
two.
still to
Uh-huh.
auto crit on a 5.
You hear
That's
this here first,
that's
folks.
potentially
Better than
better.
Marathi and the Bow Snakes.
33-inch threat range, right, on these things. And like literally, oh, you're gonna get to them. 20 Noblars, whatever it is, like 100 points. They just
Hmm.
sit
Mhm.
in front of it. And
Man,
I
you got
mean,
to
no
come
army is set
down.
up with this.
Oh shit, come down to Crazy Uggs Noblar Empoleon. They've got all your Noblar hucking needs. They got bits of glass. They've got chains. They've
Oh, yeah,
got
broken
sticks.
bottles. Yeah.
A piece of
Broken
cheese.
broken bottles galore.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
Ah,
this list and post it in the Discord so everyone can see this. But like, it's
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna have
Cool.
to fight that because English Spy is gonna see that and be
you're gonna
like, I
go
probably should try this at least once.
the next tournament
Yep.
you go to. He's gonna like bring it, and it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like
He's gonna grudge you
he's
first
gonna do the
round.
thing that happened to you with Iron Jaws.
Oh
That would
no.
be hilarious. I would love that. We still need to
Ah,
get Scott on, by the way. Apparently best
okay.
has placed best Iron Jaws for the
Really?
area. So that's what
Nice.
he
Awesome,
sent me.
awesome.
I trusted him. I didn't look it up to confirm because I felt like
Look,
that would be,
Hey man.
a bit crass.
I only
But
fact check during the show, not in between episodes. Thank you very much.
that's
I'm I'm
right.
I'm excited for it. I'm like looking at all the fun through my
Yeah.
people this particular season has been difficult.
Ooh. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. It does remind me of one of the things that I kind of miss about,
What?
I guess, older versions of these games, which was the the larger depth of models, because there would have been like a Noblar hero in there somewhere.
Oh sure.
Oh yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sure, sure.
that's for sure a thing. And maybe there will be again, like if they ever want to like kind of deepen it. But I don't know,
Uh-huh.
the game is in such a weird place right now, just in terms of like what they're gonna do, like with their design direction and model releases. I mean,
Mm,
I don't
Well,
even know what to expect.
I know that the
you
great
know.
gracious potato in the sky has graced me with an amazing picture of what
Mhm.
I've been saying that a lot of armies need.
Okay.
And
What did
hopefully they
Miles give
follow
you?
through. Huh?
Miles, he's the great potato in the sky, right? Since he moved to Ireland? What do you find?
No, he's the great potato on the ground. Um,
Oh, okay. Okay.
no, there was a really, really nice leak of a vampire lord on Steed
Yes, with the skeletons
that,
popping up out of the base.
yeah, that was
Oh,
released that completes my goals
Ooh,
yep.
for an all cavalry army
Yep.
for Soulblight, instead of
Build
having to lean
vampire on
on,
nightmare.
that's
yeah,
cool. Where did the
instead of
leak
having to
pop
lean
up?
on
I'll
white
find it.
lords. Oh, the random interwebs,
Yeah. It
wherever
could
they
have been
be.
it might be in a white dwarf, which
Yeah, I think that's where people
or it's an
saw
army
it.
book. One or the other. It's still a little fuzzy. But
Hmm.
because then it could be like someone made a conversion for like a Tale of Four Warlords or something,
It looks
and an
pretty
Anvil of
unique
Apotheosis.
if I remember
It
correctly.
does. Because I had some friends that were trying to cyber sleuth. Oh, what if this was a kit bash? Where did they get the models? Where did they get the horse? Where did they get this? And they couldn't figure it out. So I don't know. Could be real. I'd be excited for that.
I
Yeah,
I would be quite excited. And the other thing
Yeah.
is, like, it's a larger size base, so a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff looks like it's actually made is like the scatter pieces that we see on
Mhm.
a bunch of different um releases as of late.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. That means, all horses, all dead, all the time. Good on
Yep.
them. I'm here for it.
We are in the Cavalry Edition, the one you've awaited. So it's the time is now.
That's
Right?
true. I
Sleeper cavalry.
That's
Uh
the
So
other thing I
funny.
need to build. I actually have 5 more Cavaliers I need to build.
Oh, those guys. Just
those are
Yeah,
actually a lot of fun. There's
they
so
are.
much extra pieces
Oh
on there.
God, yeah. Just with the helmets too, and how the bits can swap in and out so easy. Them and
Mm-hmm.
the deep Keneals I've found are just such interesting kits with so many little extra odds and ends you can put on
Yeah.
to be like the tack and the saddle and the different rating implements they have there. They're just really characterful models that you can go and tell your own story just by building them. You know?
they're
Yeah.
they're pretty cool.
I
It's
think I think that's something that I really gravitate towards too. When I'm actually setting out to do a conversion, you know.
Yeah. Talk to me.
I used to do a whole lot more conversion work, but nowadays it's kind of like, okay, get this ready for a tournament, yada yada, get this
Mhm.
army ready, base level, yada yada yada.
I'm kind of
Or
with you there. Most of the time, it's like I assembled a kit. Good.
yeah.
That does not need
We
to be
did it.
like
Whereas like there are certain project armies that I have, and I tend to like burn myself out fairly
Mm,
quickly
okay.
on that.
you know.
If I'm doing it for a project army, right? Because what
Yeah.
are you going to do with a project army? Well, you're probably going to try and take it to a tournament. Well, so
Yeah.
what are usually the best models for conversions? Usually not the ones that you're going to take to a tournament, either because of base size, either because of, the underlying unit that you want to represent.
Mhm.
But
That hits me
there are
where it
things
hurts,
here and
man.
there. Hey,
You know, they're
it is what it
uh,
is.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about it though for a second, man. I gotta say, like, I know you claim to not be a big converter these days, but I'm remembering a hell of a conversion that you completed for our very own English spy. That's
Ooh.
off to
Oh,
you,
yeah.
sir. You know, the Discord. And it was a nightmarish, hugely involved, like,
Uh-huh.
demon prince, not demons, a greater keeper of secrets, for the
Yep.
Hedonites,
Oh.
who I have named in my head the Whispering Eye for obvious reasons. If you've seen the model.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that is in Discord, and every time that I have seen it at a tournament now, I have to go up and look at it because it's been so far
Yeah.
removed from my normal like area where I'm looking at my models and doing stuff that
Okay.
I actually get to see it as, a model that I haven't created or haven't had that much, and like I'm
Hell
still really
yeah.
really happy with that conversion. For those who
Nice.
Oh,
haven't seen it or anything,
Describe it to me, Matt. What are we
it
working with here?
is it is a heavily converted top half of a Keeper's Secrets sculpted onto an Arachnarok spider's body.
Ooh.
Um, and one of the great things, I think the Arachnarok spider is probably one of the coolest kits for conversion just because it's
Oh,
articulated
it
mhm.
and
is.
areas where you can cut it, you can pin, and then really do like good green stuffing. Well,
Yeah.
for this, he was looking for something horrifying. And I
Mm.
basically plumbed the depths of Hellraiser. And a lot of my,
Okay.
Clive Barker influences to
Ooh.
really just come up with, like something that was as I love to say, I love horror movies.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
They're a huge part of like what I they're like my relaxation movies. So I don't
Wow.
know if that says anything good or bad.
I
Let's not
won't judge
dissect
you.
it too hard. But there's a long running theme in a lot of like Clive Barker's work and a lot of other like directors work about looking at horror from like a beautifully terrifying or beautifully horrifying way. And I
Oh.
tried to like capture that with that model. So there are mouths coming out of everywhere, but you don't really notice it because the mouths are taking the shape of these very sensually placed thighs that should be going into the spider, right?
Oh.
So there's a lot of like weird stuff like that on that model. A
Okay.
lot of sculpting,
Okay.
but with stuff
Cool.
like that, that takes time. I'm actually going to be building him a fully converted Sons of Behemoth army where each one is a
Ooh.
different god. So 4 models, each one is a different god. And
All
I
right.
haven't even started conceptualizing that yet.
That is so cool, though. I can't wait to see that in action.
Yeah.
I know that like the model that we've just been talking about was just like wonderful to see coming together with creation steps and then kind of even be
Okay.
painted and put on the table.
Yeah.
Because like it is definitely something. It's like the most Clive Barkerish, nightmarish combination of like a keeper of secrets, probably the anime Berserk, and the movie Teeth that I could have ever seen on a
Yeah, it
tabletop.
is very much
Oh.
teeth. That was one of
Oh.
the main inspirations.
I
Um,
was thinking
I
it
thought it
too, but
might
you
be.
didn't have to say it.
hey,
I had to say it. I had to
hey,
say it.
like
Uh,
I said, was reaching into those roots. But
This is
I
one
think
place you know you're getting when you roll that temptation dice.
that's
a little
that's
nibble.
true. But that's I don't know. I
Uh,
feel like that's something I've spent a lot of my time in Warhammer doing is converting.
okay.
Half of my dragon army or half of my um characters and then my dragons and everything in Soulblight are completely converted.
Uh-huh.
Um like because there's nothing more boring to me than a static model. And that was actually one of the reasons why I really kind of
Mm,
started leaning away from Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Mhm.
okay.
Partially because when I was looking, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was more of a creative outlet. Like I used Warhammer when I was younger as a way to
Yeah.
kind of express myself artistically as I was learning other things. And so like also the fact that, green stuff or any like sculpting clay was so much cheaper than a fucking model, right?
Yeah.
So you get used to like building up stuff and learning how to sculpt faces, how to build,
Okay.
how to build that out. And so for me,
Mhm.
that's always like an amazing challenge, but also something that's very comfortable for me. And yeah, I didn't actually really kind of realize how far I like to lean into that just in my own hobby. I think
Yeah.
because like a lot of the stuff that I like to bring, it's 50-50 chance it's going to be good. Like I'm going to learn
Mhm.
how to play it better than it should be played for the
Sure,
most
sure.
part, unless it's, I don't know, orc on pork, which I could just not get to work at the end of a third edition. But stuff like that.
Okay.
Conversions are amazing. They help to create kind of a unique flavor to an army and
Mhm.
like allow you to bring personality in.
Mm.
I think one of my favorite conversions is the Vengorian Lords that I've built, and those are so easy, right? You stick a Storm Drake head
Sure.
on top of the
Mhm.
Vengorian lore and do away with the whole centaur, vampire thing, and you've got
Okay.
like a hulked out dragon. What happens
Yeah.
if a vampire decides to hulk out and turn into a dragon? Right there. That's what you got.
That's totally
Yeah.
fair. I
Yeah.
have a couple conversions from recently, Matt, that
Go
and Rocco that
on.
I'm especially proud of, and I think you guys will get
Ooh.
them. So I have these two
Yeah.
beautiful conversions from Mutalis's Vortex Beasts. They look like these
Ooh.
fantastical shrines being carried on the backs of ogres.
Oh, I
Yeah,
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
yeah. So it really goes with the horde armor.
So, so it sounds
Ah.
like, you're really into that bespoke repurposing trend that's going around right now with the hot young kids, right?
I know. I
I
almost
feel like I
believed
wasn't
you,
there for it until I
Jack.
was forced to be there for it, right? I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
wasn't a cannibal until Mad Max Universe happened, and now dinner's
Hey,
meat's
man.
back in the menu, boys.
It's back on the menu.
So,
So,
so with that, oh, go ahead,
no,
Rocco.
no, 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 no. We can pick on Jack some more. It's okay.
With that kind of like, we had our time in the mud. I think in the last
Yeah.
episode, talking about the disappointment of some of the some of the things that are happening with the Slaves to Darkness book, and I encourage
Yep.
you all listeners, gentle listeners, to go
Uh-huh.
back listen to that episode to get a little bit more context. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna plow forward and like so what
Moving
do you
on.
what's keeping you in it then? Like outside of painting rats, like
Yeah. And this
what keeps
crazy
you
mutalisk
hobbying?
vortex beast.
Well, I think it's always, the beauty of the hobby, right? For me, like I think
Okay.
that kind of what's fun, about Warhammer, kind of is a big hodgepodge and mix of different things, right? But if I was to try to unpack it, part of it's the
Please.
artistic expression, getting to make your own cool thing, whether that's
Okay.
conversions or just a paint scheme on some units or your own list that other people haven't
Mhm.
seen. Part of it's definitely intellectual exercise of playing the game and playing it well, which is why I do tend to gravitate towards tournament play and have
Okay.
the chance, go grab the brass ring in some place or have something to work towards like a faction thing or whatever, or
Mm.
just some wins and some event. But then there's also really the community aspect, right? I mean, such a
Okay.
great group of people spread across country, continents, different places, and we
We're
really have this
international, baby.
awesome distributed network of like clever, cool people, who can talk to each other and kind of vibe on all this stuff together.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I love the way we can use these tournaments and these sort of events as a way to get together and just enjoy these things together. But at the same time, like these other dimensions kind of keep it fresh. It's not just going to the bar to get beers. It's really doing something interesting as like a collaborative exercise and, making friends in very far-flung places because of it.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
that's
that
Very
me.
was
What
much.
are
that was nice.
Yeah.
That was
I
succinct
had
and
to soak that in
persuasive.
for a sec, We just had to bathe in
Uh,
that positivity for
Didn't know
sure.
you had it in you, Jack.
after last episode, Salt Merchantane, where I
Yeah.
spreading around the vile darkness, as one
My
does as
God.
a Slaves of Darkness player,
Oh, as you do, as you do. Yeah.
yeah, I had to
It
bring
must be
back that ray
done.
of sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah, you took a spray can and drew a penis on a Sigma Ray statue and had a great time, I'm sure. Little 8-pointed star action there.
I guess that would have been slightly more modeling effort than they put into the new releases for this range, right? With eight
Damn.
Oh, there
sorcery.
it
And
is.
we're back.
There
All
it
right,
is.
all right, all
There it
right.
Woo, woo,
is.
woo.
Whew.
Had that one in the can,
We found it.
primed and ready.
I didn't
We
know what joke I
found
was
it.
setting up, but baby, you finished. All right.
Yeah, that was a little grape shot, but we're done.
Oh no, we're not. We
I
know
didn't
we're
build
not.
that
It's
profile
okay.
yet.
We know we're not.
We know we're
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Wait until next week. I've actually read the book, but I know.
This is
I
all the
mean,
previews we're complaining about, fellas. We gotta. Okay.
well, so what about you, Rocco? Like what's your hobby do for you? Like what keeps you
Uh,
in it these days? I
that's
know
a great
it's
question.
we're so busy with life, right? Life
Oh
is the
God, we are.
busiest thing that we do.
Yes. And for those of you also that don't know my day job, so I work a law firm with my wife, and we specialize in child custody, getting kids out of abusive situations, and helping abuse victims get their day in court. So I need a fucking escape, right? My
Sure.
day job's great, but you still need something where you can go and calm down and wind down and make sure the good guy wins, right?
Hmm.
There are no good guys in Warhammer, so I picked the wrong hobby. But what I can do is, build community, play games, be silly, wear stupid masks. I've cracked Jack up at least 3 times since I bought the stupid bird mask, and that was for a team tournament. That my team, I showed up and like, huh, that's a little extra. So then I wore it at the narrative event where it was talking to me like the Green Goblin mask.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the hobby can be whatever you make of it because there's so many things. Like Jack said, it's something that has made me friends for years. It's something that when I first got into it, I was like maybe 11, 12, and it was I was at a New Year's Eve party with it was like 100 people, and it was I was one of the kids relegated to go play with my other friend's little brother.
Mhm.
I wanted to be better friends with him than the chick that I was supposed to be friends with. And he's like, "Hey, my older brother in high school's got all these models, and so do you want to play? There's like a book we can roll down." I'm like, "Sure, why not? All
Oh,
the
that's so
adults are
cool.
drunk. I
Oh, I
can't.
love
I
that.
don't know what to do." Your sister ditched both of us, dude. So screw it. And then that's made lifelong friendships for me by that one thing of we had nothing else to do. Let's go and try and learn this crazy game. Uh, and that's led to me having an Empire army, a Wood Elf army from Fantasy, and now the Old World. That I even started converting some models then and kit bashing. A lot of my Stormcast models that are heroes are kit bashed in some way or another. Either I was, like the first start collecting boxes, I didn't have the full units of stuff to try to get you to buy the same start collecting box. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I've got these extra minis. I could use them to practice paint schemes, or I could make a really cool night Lord Castellan with a flowy galaxy cloak, which I did, and it's awesome. There'll be pictures in the Discord too for those Patreon people. Um, and I'm not gonna pay like $60 for a fucking hero. I'm sorry. Cursing right now. It's always strikes late. I'm gonna go. I've got all these bits. I have way too many bits. I've got so many bins of bits. I don't have that many models for all the bits that I have.
I feel
I'm
that
gonna throw
problem.
some stuff. You definitely 80 best to gore pull them out of the shelf. I can only imagine how many other weapon options there are.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I say that with love. I say that with love. But you've got all these things, and then through some things, through some of my friends throughout the Midwest, as part of a gaming club that I'm not even from the Midwest. I've only visited, but it was people that I did a charity event with for another streamer friend of mine back in the day, where we did like a big mental health thing like once a year, and it was a streamathon, a rantathon. The guy's name's Mr. Mephisto. He still does make some content, but he went different ways there. He went more with the RPG, the tabletop RPG space, and the Stable Warhammer. But
Mhm.
with all that group, we have our own gaming club. I've traveled out to Adepticon, and I've made fully converted armies for themes for our team, um, where I combine Cruel Boys and Zinch to go, because for spindly little orcs make for some really like dark crystal-esque bird
Mm.
people.
Yeah, they're
that
beautiful.
they are, and they convert real well. And I painted them like up to a bright teal that was just freaky, and they I got a really good paint score off it. I was really happy. Uh, some of my best technically painted stuff came from all these conversions, and I took the limited time orc shaman and kit bashed it with a the dude with the two ten they run the silver towers. So help me out here, listener.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know
what?
talking about the wizards, the
Yeah, the
blue
wizards. Yep.
god summoners.
God
Yeah, yeah.
God
summoners. Thank
summoners.
you. Thank
Whew.
you. I don't
We
know.
got
Someone
there. We
someone
got
said it
there.
at the computer before you, but Jack, I know you heard it, and then here we are. So
Which,
thank you, listener.
side tangent, the original model is so much better than the model on the disc.
Yeah.
I went ahead and I stole Ahriman
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yep.
from his disc and put the original model, magnetized it on that disc because it
Nice.
just looks so much nicer.
Oh
Just
yeah.
the static poses, man. I cannot get over how much I
I
just don't
understand.
enjoy static poses.
I completely understand. And so that's led to me having choosing Charmies, because when I got the other one for the Dave's Hot Chicken thing I've talked about on here,
Hmm.
it was a whole different
Mm-hmm.
paint scheme. So now I've got two of them. And the Cruel Boy stuff could be used for either army, actually. I converted, it was like a 50-50 modeling from, I even converted Hobgrots up from the Chaos Cultist, the Jade Obelisk.
Nice.
I did a whole,
Ooh,
yeah, I did a whole
spendy.
thing. Hmm? Yeah.
That's spendy.
Yeah.
Jade
So
Obelisk, man. Woo.
what had
Love that.
happened was, thanks to the lovely community I was in, we did like a Secret Santa. And so that was my gift, was some Jaded Obelisk. And then someone else was getting rid of some, like, their half of a starter box for Cruel Boys, and someone else did a mini stomp. Someone else you could probably go reach out to for maybe a shout out or something. Where if you don't have the local gaming store, what do you it's an online store that does a lot of deals and is also based out of the Midwest. I think Michigan. It might be Ohio, but I think it's Michigan. Um, and I've ordered a bunch of stuff from him. I should know this answer. Um, but what
Next time.
happens? Yeah, next time. I gotta put it in order after we log off. Um, he does deals around the holidays too, where it's like, hey, say like what faction you are, we'll send you a bunch of random boxes. They're spicy deals. He also does Magic the Gathering, Lorcana, and a bunch of other stuff. Always has GW paints and models and things around, and there's a list of things that are in stock, and he'll order what he doesn't have. But one of my buddies hit it really good with just like it was like a random thing of orcs and loved it. Another buddy went and got Cruel Boys, who already had an army of Cruel Boys. He's like, well, you know, we could trade it for some stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, bring it on. And that's how that big conversion went on to be. And it was a lot of fun to play. And I think we got like 13th out of like 60 something teams
Nice.
with and it was because it's the Midwest, so they have hobby score in there too with our battle score. But it ended up being it was funny because the year before too, when we went for more of like hardcore lists, we did really good on the battle, and then kind of like still good on the hobby, but like could have been better, more cohesive. We
Mhm.
didn't because that was the thing we got docked was our team wasn't cohesive, and then this past spring we did 4 chaos corrupted orc armies, which is where the Zinch orcs came in. And my one buddy, Kyle, made a pig thirster. It was a bloodthirster riding the big pig.
that
And,
that's amazing.
and put
I
the
gotta see
bloodthirster
that.
wings on the pig so pigs could fly as it ran around, beating the
Oh, that's
snot out of
awesome.
people with the whip and the axe. Oh yeah, no, it was great. We had a whole display board for everything. We had but people 3D print stuff and do all these things, and it's just you think it's just a silly game of toy soldiers. And the next thing I know, I've got friends from Canada and the Midwest and myself out east coming in for this tournament, let alone my friends in Australia, New Zealand, and Scotland, and England, and the Netherlands, and everywhere else, in Ireland, and
It
name a land, we're probably there,
it
uh,
does tend to make the world a little bit smaller, doesn't
which
it?
is really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fantastic aspect to it.
Yeah. And if you haven't found that yet yourself, there's plenty of online communities, ours not included, because
Hmm.
there's plenty of public ones too. One I'll even shout out with the 2 Plus Tough Discord that I'm the community manager for my lovely buddy Doug, who still does his YouTube channel for all the lore stuff. If someone's listened to Age of Sigmar lore, they it's probably his video.
He does have
Um,
a sonorous voice,
he
doesn't he?
does. Oh, it's just you can fall asleep to that, man. Man's a dream, and
I uh
he's
I
really
made the
nice too.
I made the mistake of telling him that because he
Uh,
used to live out in Seattle, right?
yeah.
So I've had a couple of games with him, and his armies are always beautiful. But
Oh
Hmm.
God, yeah.
he was playing, I think, Iron Jaws right when end of second or beginning of third
Hmm.
Uh,
when they were just like, I think they got it was right at a Battle Scroll release, so everything that was just like, oh, this is okay, got
yeah.
ramped up to the point where I was like, well, cool, good game. um, Sweetest guy, and I'm like, I'm so
And he is
glad that
not a
you are
power
kicking my
gamer.
teeth in because
Yep.
you've got that smooth voice that makes it go down easier.
Yep. Yep. He probably
uh,
apologized every moment he rolled really hot
Sorry for your
too.
loss. Here's a jazz solo.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a ton of communities. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, go to the AOS PNW one.
Yep. Yep.
It's a massive community.
We've got Discord communities, Facebook communities, WhatsApp. I don't even do WhatsApp because that's just its own freaking
And
beast.
even the old traditional game store community. But they're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there.
And that's the best part too, is there are so many, it's the best time to be a nerd. There's so many game stores everywhere that you can probably find something. And if not, there's these online stores that you can still order stuff to. And then, you could just set up yourself in your own basement and have your friends come over and learn the game and be silly with us.
That's
Have
true.
have your own crazy battles where you're totally not throwing on the song Cutthroat and then clubbing baby seals. That's you could
We
be you
we
could be the
can't all
next
be narrative
Mason.
gamers. We
We
can't all be.
can't. We can't. It's a heavy burden to bear. Um, and I keep going 3-2 at Adepticon. It's a curse at this point. But
You'll break it one day.
yeah, no, and I always lose to the team that wins it too. So
Just as planned.
yeah, just as
Hmm.
planned. Just as planned.
Yep.
But it's a lot of fun. And then the wins, the losses, and everything. And you will always learn more from a loss than a win because you're like, oh, if you win, you're like, cool, everything went as planned. This is what I did. When you
Hmm.
lose, you're like, huh, I didn't know that could happen. I didn't think about this. Oh, you could
Hmm.
do that. And
Yep.
it challenges you to be a better player, think of all these things, and then you get to a point where you're like, huh, what things do I actually need to worry about, or was that a freak occurrence? And you don't know yet until you play a bunch of games and find out. That's my challenge to you, dear listener. Now go have fun playing a bunch of silly games so you can relax and laugh and cry and cheer on crazy dice rolls because dice tell stories. And you may have come up with the craziest plan, but because this is a dice game, you're gonna roll those dice. They could be you roll 20 dice, they could be a bunch of sixes or a bunch of ones. You don't know what's gonna happen. That's why we play it to find out.
I agree with all those points and absolutely echo the sentiment. But like the energy you were exuding right there, Rocco, it was the ghost talking. It was the
Oh
ghost.
God, was it? Let me tell you. So when you do acting for kid shows, right? Because that's the show I'm doing. My other hobby is I do theater acting, and it's a British pantomime. So I'm basically the Muppets as a bunch of characters being goofy, mixed with Monty
Perfection.
Python, and it's
Perfection.
great. And I get to be goofy and silly and laugh and shit. It's a great release. But that was my hey kids. Yeah.
So,
And I need Ghost for that. I'm telling you what, that's because
yeah, performative for sure.
yeah, but on
I
Ain't
purpose.
love
nothing
it.
wrong with that.
No, not at
The
all. Everyone needs a laugh.
I do gotta say that one of the things that I very much enjoy is the aspect of being able to choose your involvement. Like
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
know personally for me, I will kind of like wax and wane on like specific parts of the hobby.
Yeah.
Like, you excuse me, especially when like, if I know there's some books coming up that, are
Mhm.
usually something that I play and that I'm known to play, I'll leave them alone. Like
Okay.
I just got them. I just got the new books. And I'm
Yeah.
probably not going to play Stormcast for another month
Really?
because I want it to shake out and I want everybody to get bored. I
Okay.
want to be my own special snowflake with my Paladors.
And you can do
No.
that. I mean, yes, you definitely should be. That's the hotness right now. Everyone's on them.
Yeah.
You were
But
just the hipster, Matt. You just knew it before how cool they were.
for 3 editions. But
Yeah.
but the thing I like to do is, like I like to lean into certain parts. When going on and talking about mental health when things are like kind of rough,
Hmm.
when like if I don't feel like going out and like intermingling with a ton of people, even if they are my friends. If my wife likes to do the spoons thing.
Oh
Have you
yeah,
heard
no,
the
my
spoons
wife uses
thing?
that one too,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. Yep.
So like if
Yep.
my spoons are empty, like what's the
Out of
best thing for
spoons,
me?
man.
You know what I do? I come up, I usually have enough time
Hmm.
to then divert that or enough energy in general to just divert
Yeah.
that into converting or painting up
Hmm.
armies in like the spurts that I do, right?
There you
So
go.
little
It
anxiety helps you get through an army. You know
it's
what I
it's
mean?
pretty true, honestly. And I
Yeah.
gotta say, it echoed some sentiment for me too. That multidimensionality is great because it means that no matter the mode you're in, there's something you can kind of dive into a bit more. Like, there's time when I'm a little freer, a lot of tournaments, a lot of deep into it. Like right now.
Yeah.
little more at home, a little more watching the tyke. So, a little more
Yeah.
painting or a little more thinking about those sides of things. And it's nice you can kind of pick your flavor based on what you
Yeah.
got going on.
Yeah, and like the great thing about that multi-dimensionality, I'm not going to be able to say those words.
It's way too late for that.
Multi-dimensionality,
That's
whatever
a
Oh
it
yeah.
is.
$10
That
word,
is
Matt.
that is a
That's
lot of consonants,
ooh, and
um,
vowels.
and vowels. The
Dangerous
great thing
number of
about
vowels.
that is like it's
Yeah.
we've had a bunch of people on, previous players who have talked about like going into something too much. I know I've talked about it. I know
Yeah.
others have. Like when you go into just competitive play too much, it can become too much, right? Sometimes it's nice to take
Sure.
a step back and say, am I only going to win, or am I going to, you know, do my best, or, do I need to reassess my goals
Yep.
in competitive play? Like that's stuff I like to do constantly, like reset
Yeah.
goals, right? Because I'm resetting armies constantly. But like
Yeah.
that's an affordance that I give myself by having way too many models. But it's 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 always nice to take, like a block of time, usually generally a month for myself, and work on, okay, I know I can go to almost any tournament, and if I actually applied myself, go 3-2 and be fine, right?
And
I
three
can go
two the
three
goal.
two, have a 4-1, if I really want to. But like the core of it is to go and try my best at playing what I want to play and making that work,
Mm,
regardless of what everybody else says is the unit that I have to take. Like that for me
Hmm.
will always
yeah.
be the core impetus. It's like, I want to put these models on the table because these are my favorite models. I'm going to figure out how to stomp you into the ground. It's
Yep.
going to suck sometimes getting there, but that's the
Hmm.
general goal. But
Okay.
that's why I need the months off to like paint and do other shit,
Hmm.
that can get brutal. That can get
It's
very
true.
brutal.
It's true. And no, I think too it's one of those things where because this hobby can be whatever you make of it, you do need to pick that concrete goal. What are you after? Because you can go down so many paths and do so many things halfway to like, oh, this is nice, and then feel you're pulled in a bunch of directions
Yeah.
by accident, and it's what do you want out of it? This is something that for us, again, I agree with you, Matt. That's something I like having out of it. I'm gonna try two great cannons, 20 fusiliers. I'll probably split them up into tens and be smart and use them as screens and sit on objectives in the back like I did in second and third edition. But still, there's things that I could be doing here. I got a bunch of dwarves. I've never. Well, I'm a dwarf hater. I'm an elf lover from way back when, and here I am with 20 hammers and a rune lord
Hey, I mean,
just to go and say screw it. Let's try some new shit.
tis good. Just make sure you're hiding that rude lord. Make sure.
Yeah.
Easiest thing, like kill.
Mm-hmm. 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 But again, it's the new thing for me. And then there's some people too that even if you're a little bit burnt out on Age of Sigmar, there's so many little skirmish games and things. Marvel Crisis Protocol is picking up all the Star Wars games. God forbid 40K if you want some kill team even, you know.
No, so I haven't actually played Kill Team. I do have the Vespid box coming in because I
Ooh.
do actually have almost as many 40K armies as I do have.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do.
Oh,
I'm
Matt.
I'm only missing Custodes,
Oh wow,
Okay.
you have a lot.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, just Custodes. Oh, and
Uh-huh.
the Leagues of Votan.
And
Because I have
listen,
the original squats like
of
a
course you do.
baller.
Of
Um,
course you do. Why would
so
I ever? Probably got the epic ones too.
oh, I do. No, I only have Eldar Epic,
Okay.
Eldar, and a little bit of Imperial Guard because
Okay. Okay.
we're in the Imperial Guard, son.
That's fair. That's
Um,
fair. In the guard, boy. Get
no,
that bayonet on that flashlight and charge.
that being said, like boarding actions is a fun little game.
It is. It is.
and it's a nice diversion. The other thing that I do love doing, just because it carries me back to that point of wanting
What?
to shoot myself in the foot, is play essentially
Go.
7th edition 40k by playing
Oh.
Horus Heresy.
Hmm.
Um,
You want your
now,
facing rules back and to penetrate side armor?
hey man, I love that.
Yeah.
Let me wonder what I'm gonna roll for how the model explodes or not, right? Like
It
that I
is
Yep.
think
real fun.
those mechanics, there's something to be said about shooting a dreadnought 5 turns in a row
Hmm.
and completely having it shrug off everything, only to just crunch your hive timer, you know?
Yep.
Like there was a certain storytelling aspect to that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I personally enjoy that style of play. I know it's kind of like lost a lot of that gravitas that it
Yeah.
used to have for a lot of players.
Some might call it narrative gaming.
Maybe just storytelling in general.
What? It's
But
almost like these models were made off of like the original Dungeons and Dragons game or something, if we check our
yeah,
Warhammer history.
who
And
would have
all this was
known?
about storytelling and having fun with your friends.
So
Nonsense.
weird.
Nonsense, Rocco.
So weird.
We're here to crush
You
our
can't have
enemies,
that.
damn it.
Yeah, sometimes you need a good narrative game. We just show them what's what, you know.
Yeah, or even a non-competitive game. Bring two
Oh,
wacky lists that you and
Hmm.
yeah.
your opponent think you would never take to a tournament, but you have the models and you've always wanted to play them.
It's
Do
That's the
that.
honestly
best.
a really fun aspect of the hobby, right? It's just like, I mean, that gets
Yeah.
back to the roots, like when we were kids and we were just like pushing whatever we had or we had as a fun concept out with our friends. We weren't
Yeah.
so tight even always on the rules or whatever. We just wanted to see a certain thing done.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Uh-huh.
was the heart of it. Like I remember way back when I first got into this stuff at all. Maybe kind of seminal Warhammer moment story. I think it was like fifth or sixth grade or something, and that was like a
Ooh.
summer rec camp.
Ooh,
And
go on.
one of the kids there, because we just had all this time, just kind of doing whatever indoors most of those days outside of whatever field trips there were. We play like
Mhm.
Magic cards, New Dungeon Dragons, and all that. Someone had brought in like a pretty beat up Citadel miniatures catalog,
Ooh.
and
Oh, those were my favorite.
real
Yeah.
cool. And like imagine this, no context at
Hmm.
all as to what
Hmm.
these were, what the rule sets were, just pictures of the miniatures, some full art, some just the metal or plastic ones themselves, but with
Sure.
every faction. And like myself and a bunch of the kids there, we each decided we were gonna play with each other and pick a different faction. Like,
Hmm.
it was the kind of thing where we didn't know how much they cost, we didn't know how many you
Oh,
needed.
sure.
So like we were talking to each other for days about how like, oh, I was gonna have an undead army with like a lich and like two mummies and two whites and eight skeletons or something. That was gonna be it.
Uh-huh.
Little do we know, and everyone kind of did that stuff with
The
whatever
joys
took
of
their
childhood.
fancy. Yeah. Years later, here we are, but that was like the first moment of like, what is this?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember just the fun of playing the mental imagination game of how my little band was gonna rack up against my friend's band before we knew how to really do any of it.
Oh hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
That was one of my one of the things me and my childhood friend Aaron played vampire counts, and I played lizard men. One of the things we would do is just watch Army of Darkness to get us all like hyped up
Hmm.
for fighting skeletons and goofy shit, right?
Nice.
But like for those who don't know what these like annuals were, they were like Sears catalogs for
Yep.
models. And around the time when all of us started, um, you could literally order the metal piece that you wanted and have it shipped to you. Now, I
Yep.
was lucky enough because I
All
lived
bits
right
catalog.
next to their distribution center. So
Ooh.
like, you know, that I would get it within a day if I mail
Yep.
ordered it, or I could just
Yep.
go up there and get it, right?
Nice.
Hmm.
Not that I ever had the freaking money to do it, which is why I got
Oh.
really good at sculpting.
Hmm.
But like that kind of thing is like, oh, you used to just be able to pick up the catalog, look through the entire model range, and like really start thinking about like what model you wanted to put together and how you wanted to make character in that model, what story that model was going to tell, right?
Yeah.
And then like really dream about those one or two models that you're never going to be able to get, but you really
Hmm.
really want it. And that was that such a childhood aspect, I think, for me, and why I continue to stay in the hobby is like it does bring me that almost childlike joy. There's a certain
Mhm.
comfort, I think, at this point now of just being able to, like, you look at them all and you say, what would I do with that? How would I paint that? How would I do this? How would I do that? How would I hobby that? And like there, it's like its own form of meditation, even, I would say.
I agree. It's really quite calming and fun all around with that.
Yeah. And when you're an adult with some money, I mean, that's how I got an Eldar army. Was I'm like, well, if they ever resculpt Malgan Ra, because that was one of the first models I saw in one of those catalogs.
Yeah, he was
Um,
awesome.
oh god, yeah, just like you're telling me there's a fucking elf dressed as the Grim Reaper in fucking
Right
power armor with a power scythe that shoots a gun that can blow up a tank that he can slice the tank in two with the scythe?
before he shoots
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And I'm like, if he ever gets a new model, I'm fucking sold. And then there he was.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
oh man,
Uh,
that was the other like fun thing about this hobby, which is just kind of like this very much singular time scale it operates on, where eventually things will come out or things will reappear. It's like you're in this
yeah.
cyclical universe, where like reincarnation happens. Like, oh, warp spiders aren't good this edition, but in two editions, the stars will align again, and we'll have an all warp spider fun fest,
Oh,
and it'll
the
suck.
Yeah, with a
Go
warp
again.
I've
spider.
been waiting for Warp
Oh,
Spider models for forever. Warp Spiders were my
they were
favorite
what,
in third
31 years
edition.
old, I
They
think.
don't.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, they don't even really need new ones. They never have, and they just
No,
released new ones.
yeah.
Well, the Warp Spiders were getting a little clunky. And it's a weird thing because like now that the technology's increased, like there's definitely like a scale creep that has happened,
I get
especially
that.
with
I get
Eldar.
that.
And it's like I
Yeah.
still have a bunch of my old weapons teams and I put them up
Okay.
next to, some of my warriors, and it's just like, ooh, that's you guys are a little short there, huh? They didn't feed you that well back in
Not
the
in the
old
craft
times,
world,
huh?
man.
Yeah,
Nah, that
yeah.
thing's going down. We're a dying race over here.
It's very true. I mean, I always sort of fantasized though that in some ways, like they were the perfect model representation, right? Because, and granted, with nothing to do with the fact to have like 30 of them, so ignore
Oh
that.
no, never, never,
But
never. But go on.
the armor is like this bulky, over the top, like impractical, you couldn't move it looking
Yeah.
thing. Like all the other
Yeah.
aspect warriors of the time, like this, they
Yeah.
couldn't probably go 10 feet. But
Nah.
it was the one armor designed around an archaic and probably super volatile warp jump generator, so they never really had to move anywhere at all. They're basically like in cosplay armor, but they're just blinking in and out of existence and going different
Hmm.
places. So like these little
Yeah.
guys, they didn't have to be strong to just
Nope.
hopefully stand still in this thing and point the web
Nope.
gun. They just had to press a button.
Yep. And
Yep.
hopefully, when they press that button, they didn't get eaten on the other side, and they
Yeah.
Yeah,
made it
or
to
do,
where
do
they
you
were
remember
going.
Climbing
that?
through
Roll
the
a double,
hole.
lose to a spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They probably
that was
couldn't
a
have
lot
gone
of
through a
fun.
single. Yeah, oh, they're fun. Fun.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to a good place, I posit a
Oh.
question. What was
Oh,
everybody's
please.
first model that they bought and
Oh
why?
my God.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Okay. Rocco, you go first, sir.
My first model that I bought with my paper route money was actually the Empire versus Orc starter set. Um,
Oh,
A
that
lot of
was a
that
paper.
good
it
one.
was, yeah, that was a very good paper boy. I had a huge fucking route. I had that route for years, years, and I just saved up all my money, had some birthday money, and boom, bought a starter box for I think it was sixth edition.
Nice.
Um,
Very nice.
I think that was
fantasy,
fifth
or it might have been
because
fifth.
fourth was
Yeah,
Lizardmen. That's when I started.
Yeah.
you're right.
That's
Okay,
when I started too. Lizardmen versus Bretonians. That
there you
box is
go.
cool.
The one after that, and
Yeah.
it was I was gonna buy Wood Elves, and I remember I came into the store because it was right before the edition dropped, and the guy's like, "Hey man, they're gonna get new sculpts in like a year ish." But if you want to buy something today, we're gonna have this come in. And I'm like, well, you know what? Again, I'm just bright eyed. I'm like, I can go buy this and that, this and that. And originally, I went in there for 40K stuff. And then I
Mhm.
saw the wall of fantasy, and I'm like, my little. I just finished reading The Hobbit. Heart just went boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, totally made the
Uh,
right choice.
And I
yeah.
mean, those orc sculpts have stood the test of time.
Oh
Like
God, yeah. The
everything
orc
that
on
you
the
see from
boars.
the old world
Mhm.
release is
Yep.
from that edition,
Yeah.
which
No,
is
and
amazing.
those Empire troops too pretty much stayed the same. They had like one updated sculpt, I think of like
Hmm.
seventh or eighth edition, but
Hmm.
yeah. And then
Pretty
uh,
classic sculpts.
I do have to say one funny addendum. So when I went to go back into the hobby later, years later, I'm with my wife. We moved to Delaware. I went to go, and I'm like, oh, this was like a hobby I had when I was like a kid and a teenager going into college, and like this would be something fun to pick up. Maybe there's a community. I know the fantasy died, but there's 40K. Maybe I can go and do so. She's like, I don't know, whatever. So we go into the store. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm watching some bat reps. I know there's a thing. I know there's a scene here. I go then and there. And then my wife and I both look and see the big armored Stormcast lady. And we both look at each other. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
they got fantasy again. And then she got a night on army. I got my Stormcast. And here we are, seven or
Oh
eight
man,
armies later.
that's funny. That's like the rest is history.
Same damn
Uh,
thing happened. Everything's time's a circle.
hmm I guess thinking way back, what was the absolute first one? May be appropriate given my handle and all of our discords and
Uh-huh.
everything. And
Uh-huh.
but I think the first model I ever bought was the leader for that little band that I found from the green catalog when I was trying to piece together my
Oh.
undead quote unquote army, very first
Uh-huh.
one, which was supposed to be comprised of, like I said earlier, two mummies,
Yeah.
like
A
two
lich.
whites, a
Yeah.
what, like a, yeah, like
Eight
a
skeletons, I
lich, eight
remember. Yeah.
skeletons, maybe even like a wraith in there. It's like a little potpourri or whatever was there, looked different.
Uh,
But I bought the lich first because he was so cool with his like wide brimmed hat, like
oh,
like a
hell yeah.
Raiden had a little
Yep.
staff with the curly Q.
Yep.
Actually,
Yep.
I was trying to find that model,
That wasn't
forever
even the
ago.
Kimmler model. That was the one before that, before they got the name Lich.
The
Yeah, yeah,
original
yeah.
Lich. I always
Yeah.
thought it better than the Kimberly model. It's like a generic Lich. It's like there's a Lich out there and he's raising undeads. He was a
Uh-huh.
wizard. The natural
Uh-huh.
progression of every necromancer. And I couldn't even find that model after I bought it like a million years ago when I went back to my parents' house at one point. But I
Oh
wanted
no.
one. So I had to eBay find the same model again
Okay.
to convert
Okay.
it to be my quote unquote vampire lord for the Soulite army I have down in the basement right now, which is,
Nice.
a modest collection of cadaverous zombie themed things led by Lich,
Hell yeah.
just 180 zombies, no big deal. All
Just
based.
liching it up.
Yeah, doing her thing.
Yeah, me
Oh,
and
I
my
love that.
Lich.
I uh I I love that aspect of going back now and finding those models that you wanted, you know. That's
Yeah.
it's kind of dangerous.
Oh God,
It
yeah.
can be a thing.
Yeah.
I know I'm totally
Yep.
stealing with this tangent, but I don't know if you guys remember, but like there was
Well,
a couple years ago when the new stuff was coming out for Slaves of Darkness, where like the when I got the chosen models,
Hmm.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
stuck in Taiwan for like 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Basically,
For you.
living the dream, with my
Yeah.
family. But it was
Yeah.
fun. But I couldn't do like anything except like think about what I might build later, and go on
Oh
runs and listen to
sure.
podcasts. And
Yeah.
I really went down a hole trying to find the old Chaos Champions, on
Okay.
eBay, like the
Oh,
really
like the
cool ones
aspiring
to,
champion. Okay, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
to convert into
Yeah.
Chaos Lords and stuff. And I got a
Oh,
few
that's
of them.
funny.
But
Yeah.
that was exactly that. It was like, oh, that guy. I remember how cool he was.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. There are a couple of those. I got the original Durthu and the original Treeman.
Oh,
And
Nice.
people hate them, so like I managed to find them for
that
cheap.
shit, man.
And I
Oh.
was and it's hilarious because they are smaller than Kurnoth hunters
Yeah.
So
when you go
Stevie,
back and look at them.
Oh, dude,
the
I have
old
old
models,
Treekin.
so
Oh
derpy
my
compared to
God.
what we have
Oh,
now.
I love the old Treekin models. Those are
How they
so
went
good.
from those old fucking models to the Kurnoth hunters we have now, I will never know. Someone was
Yeah.
a fucking mad scientist back there, like, hey, we could take this and make it better and have them be fully walking warriors with the sides and this. Like,
You
how the
can.
fuck?
I'm gonna counterpoint. I think the Treekin were probably and that middle area, the
Uh,
right when you got into fantasy with that new Wood Elves book, right? When they did like that middle area metal release where there's the tree lord
yep,
that had like multi limbs and you
yep,
can't really tell what's going on, and the tree can kind of have that
Hmm.
same thing. that
yep.
that like for me encapsulated the feel of Wood Elves, which was like, we're actually kind of scary, so don't mess with us, right?
Yeah, I've got
And
a
I
bunch. Don't
loved
get me
that.
wrong.
Hmm.
I love them. I still have them.
They're so good.
Yes. And then it's just in my mind, I'm like, this is just such a cool design space. And then what they did with AOS is again with technology and modeling being 3D
Hmm.
now instead of hand sculpting stuff. You get so much cool stuff.
It's true, man.
But
It's literally a smorgasbord of fun things for us now compared to
yeah.
what we all started with, even
Oh
though it's
yeah.
all great.
Wait, Matt, what
And
was your favorite? What was your first?
so
Oh,
my first was actually, I bought it I think in Columbus, Nebraska. So
ooh,
I detasseled every off season in Nebraska, which
okay.
for anybody who is not from the Midwest,
Oh,
you probably have no idea what it is.
not a
Basically,
clue.
what you do is you walk down a cornfield and you pull the pollination part off the top of like 6 or 7 rows, and then leave the pollinator part in on the next row. And that way
Uh-huh.
you're spreading, you're essentially germinating,
Yeah, germinating the corn. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
following
the corn in a way that, they want it to be done.
you.
So I did that from like 13 to 15. I
Didn't
think I
know it was
did
called
3 seasons.
detasseling.
It's called
Okay.
detasseling. And
Wow.
so I used my hard-earned money of getting up at 4 in the morning, walking out into a muddy ass field where it
Uh-huh.
feels like you're freezing, then going into 100 and something degree weather with
Yeah.
80% humidity, getting cut up by corn leaves. I used
Ugh.
that very hard earned money to buy a Vindicare Assassin from second edition. If you guys
Nice.
remember those
Ooh.
old printed ones, where he's
Hmm.
just like,
Yeah.
eh, or
Yeah.
not
Yeah, he's hanging
printed,
out with
the
his gun,
pewter ones.
looking pretty
Um,
monopose, but cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and so I had
Okay.
borrowed my buddy's army because he was, the rich kid down the street with all the armies, that it was like, okay, we're gonna go hang out in your basement and play Warhammer. You have 12 feet of table where you're shooting the rocket launcher onto the other side of the table because you can,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that was like, I think, right, maybe about 7 months after the second edition starter set came out, maybe a
Okay.
little bit earlier, or later. But essentially, I had already picked that I was going to be doing Tyranids, and so I like walked into this
Ooh.
hobby shop, and it wasn't a Games Workshop, it wasn't anything like fancy. It was just, I think it was like a Hobby Town or something,
Okay.
one of those old ones, and all they had was a Vindicare, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna use this to practice paint. And so
Hey, more
that
power
poor
to you.
model maybe had gone through about 5 layers of paint
Yep. Yep.
because I didn't get the concept of stripping the models at
Uh-huh.
that point in time. So
That
it's
was my
just
Empire Knights for me
just a
eventually.
blob, just a poor blob.
Yep.
But yeah,
I,
that was the first model, and it really just pulling it out of the blister pack and all that.
uh-huh.
I I couldn't wrap my mind around like how cool it was just being able to tap into all that lore. Like I already had the Tyranids book, but I'm like, well, with this, maybe I could play something against the Tyranids.
Yeah.
And like starting to open up the world there. So
That's a
yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah,
Yep.
It's so funny to think that like things really did come full circle for you too, Matt, because you started your hobby journey like, doing things to corn to help them pollinate all day in the field, and you ended up making the Whispering Eye for Charles.
that's right.
I thought you were gonna go with you became the dude with all the armies, but all right.
No, there's that too, but
Oh,
Well, and I am heading back to Corn. I do have an entire Corn mortal army I'm slowly getting through, but that's a
oh.
topic for another day. And it's
Are you
on the
gonna paint
desert
him
border.
yellow?
No,
so
I'm going normal red with him, but they're gonna
Okay.
be on the
Okay.
desert board, which
Oh.
so desert board again, Soulblight
Yeah.
Grave Lords.
Yeah.
I've got the Daughters of Cain and then Corn, and I got to figure out
Okay.
the Destruction Army that I want to put
Oh,
in
we got
there.
a whole
So,
theme for each grand alliance. Okay, okay.
yep.
So what
So,
are
nice.
the four boards, 8 boards? What, we doing each realm? Are we doing sub realms? What is
I'm
this?
just doing base, base essentially, right? So I want
Okay,
to essentially I want to up the display board game on this.
okay.
I'll be painting a matte background or a matte. I'll be making a matte painting. A
Mm-hmm.
matte is making a matte painting
Gotcha.
for the background of it, and then I want to have the
Okay.
challenge of putting at least one from every order on a certain type of terrain, right? So for now, I'm just
Sure.
going through everything. But for our gentle listeners,
Mm.
tell me what destruction army I should put in a desert environment. And trust
Ooh.
me, I have all of them. So I have not based them in a way that can't be undone.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Let me
Uh-huh.
know in 7 words or more
This is
what base
Ooh.
perfect.
and why
Seven or more.
All you got to do is
in the
join the
comments.
Patreon and
Uh,
check out, or that too.
go
At
to
the very least,
YouTube.
the comments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we almost had him, Matt. But yes, guys, the comments will work too.
Yeah. Comments for free. It's true.
I exist in capitalism. I don't have to join it. As we talk
Yeah.
about models that we purchase and purchase and purchase.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, do we?
we we've made the gold barons of Nottingham very rich,
That
Mm-hmm.
very
is
rich
true.
indeed.
And
Beloved is there.
I
Yeah.
think we've come to that place. Have
The
we?
place indeed. The place where some of us sleep, some of us tend to a baby, some of us gaze upon the arc-like trove of their models.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly salivate, also have an aneurysm wondering how many hours I'm going to take to putting time in to paint them.
Oh, it's
Very fair.
wonderful,
Very
gentlemen.
fair. Very
Wonderful.
fair.
Yes. Here we
Well,
are in a fantastic place.
we've done it. Thanks everybody for coming along in this journey with us as always. Now we kind of
Yeah.
said it before, but like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your
All the
enemies,
things.
join the Patreon, spend
Mm-hmm.
all of your hard-earned money in our little corner of capitalism, or not,
Yeah.
but definitely hit the like button. And until
Yeah.
next time, it's just a fight for the last word.